Gerke have been fired. Community off guard tonight. KOA tonight learned that Bronco coach Red Miller and general manager Fred Gerke have been fired. Ron Zabolo is here with the latest on that story. Ron?
1977, Red Miller could have been the governor of Colorado easily, but tonight it is a different story. It is true, it has happened. Red Miller has been fired as the head coach of the Denver Broncos. The most successful coach in the Bronco 21-year history will be replaced in a news conference tomorrow morning by 37-year-old Dan Reeves, for the past 3 years the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. Also getting fired tonight, Broncos general manager Fred Gerke. He'll be replaced by Grady Alderman, who is with the Minnesota Vikings, the director of planning and development. At 6:30 this evening, Red Miller cleaned out most of his desk and was on his way out. And Red ran into Jeff Kingery and some other members of the press, and he was not in a very talkative mood.
I don't want any pictures now. Please, hey, I've been kind enough to you guys, haven't all the way through.
And
I don't want any
Red.
pictures. Thank you, Becky. No. Nothing.
I think the people have a right to
Nothing.
You notice we're not showing you nothing.
Telling you nothing, man.
Brad, we got to take pictures.
Sorry.
And with that, Miller drove off, and his 4-year era as head coach of the Broncos came to an end. Miller apparently is surprised, as everybody else, by what happened today. On February 26, Edgar Kaiser purchased control of the Denver Broncos from Gerald Phipps, and that night Red Miller was my special guest here, and he had these impressions of the new owner.
I don't think he knows right now a lot about the pro football game, but I'm sure he'll find out as quickly as he can. He's a guy that'll come in and work hard at it and find out what he has to know about it to run it the way he wants to run it. I'm sure of that.
Did he give you, Red, the impression in your meetings with him that he would basically have a status quo? In other words, that you and Fred would still run the day-to-day operation?
No, he didn't. He said that, just like I said, I'll repeat it, that it's more or less a moratorium. He's going to study it, see what changes he has to make to feel right about it, and go in and do it. And I can see the reasoning behind that. I would do it the same way.
Red Miller just 2 weeks ago. We are now learning more and more about 38-year-old Edgar Kaiser, a man who sizes up a situation quickly and then takes action. Now, on that same morning that he took control of the Broncos, I asked him what changes he had in mind.
Well, I'm not sure that I can do anything. It seems to me
Broncos is 37-year-old Dan Reeves. Reeves for 8 years, an all-purpose running back with the Dallas Cowboys. In 1972, he joined their staff, and for the past 3 years, Reeves has been the Cowboy offensive coordinator. He's one of the most sought-after assistant coaches in pro football. Every time there was an opening, Reeves' name popped up. He'll be here tomorrow for the morning news conference. Grady Alderman, a lineman for the Vikings, currently listed by the Vikings as director of their planning and development. He replaced the general manager Fred Gerke, who became the GM in 1976. Gerke, now nearing 60, was also the man that hired Red Miller. Some hard facts. Red Miller, without a doubt, the most successful head coach in the 4 years of his tenure here. In his first season, he shocked this community and the country by taking the Broncos to the Super Bowl, but he never came close again, which may have been partly responsible for what happened tonight. Larry Zimmer has more.
It was a younger-looking Red Miller who met the press on his first day as head coach of the Broncos, having been hired by newly named general manager Fred Gerke the day after John Ralston resigned. Miller was an immediate success. The Broncos went 6-0 before losing their first game of that season, and the Orange Crush was born. Miller had paid his dues as an assistant coach at Denver, then at St. Louis, then Baltimore, and then New England. He was known as a player's coach, and no one could have doubted it in that first year when the Broncos clinched their first division championship in Houston. Then it was on to the playoffs and the AFC Championship and that memorable win over Oakland on January 1st, 1978. Ironically, while Miller seemed to be at the pinnacle of success in the Super Bowl, that loss to the Cowboys was really the beginning of the decline of the Broncos. Yes, they struggled to a division championship in 1978 and made the playoffs as a wild card team in '79, but slumped to 500 in 1980. There were undercurrents of problems between the coaches and the players. We still don't know the whole story as to why Red Miller's tenure was ended today, but one thing is certain. The most successful era in the stormy history of this team, the Gerke-Miller era, is over. This is Larry Zimmer for News Center 4 Sports.
Miller was under fire this year for his 8-8 record from the fans, not only for the record, but because the new-look offense was not very wide open. Now, tonight, KOA's Sandy Clough ventured out in the street to find out if some of the fans had anger in their eyes.
Well, I'm kind of sad to see Red go, but on the other hand, he said last Tuesday at a luncheon meeting we had that he was prepared for this. He said he'd only met Mr. Kaiser once. He didn't know the man, but he has been 20-some years in this league, and I think that, you know, it's inevitable. Either you win or you're gone.
I think it's a good move. I think they have to basically start from scratch after the years they've been coming off of, and anything they can do to team morale and spirit would be a help.
I think they just really messed up. I think their
fans are great. No way to be better.
Gerke says he's looking forward to playing golf and may just decide in a few days to retire from football, a game he's been involved with for over 40 years, and certainly he will be missed. Reeves, meanwhile, along with Alderman Edgar Kaiser Jr., are in a meeting tonight. Broncos have called the news conference for tomorrow morning, at which time the new coach and general manager will be introduced to the media. Kevin Roberts caught up with Dan Reeves just after he arrived in Denver and was preparing to meet with Edward Kaiser.
What would it take to bring you to Denver?
What would it take? You know, the opportunity to be a head coach, you know, would get me here. And I'm here, and if the opportunity's right, you know, what's that to see?
We'll see you next season if it's all
right. Okay, thank you very much.
Incidentally, Channel 9 will carry that news conference in the morning live, starting at 9 a.m. Gerke has been general manager since 1976. He hired Red Miller the following season. Corey McFerrin gives us a look at the Gerke-Miller era in Bronco history.
In 1977, after 17 years as an assistant coach in the NFL, 50-year-old Red Miller becomes the Broncos' 8th head coach. And what a year it turns out to be. Bronco Mania reigns supreme as the Broncos go 12-2, capturing their first ever Western Division title.
We are in the playoffs!
The magic continues as the rookie head coach leads his inspired troops all the way to New Orleans for Super Bowl 12.
I don't know how much do you want to win? Do you really want to win? Are you willing to do these things that it takes to win? I know how to win, but I want you to be able to put forth the things that it takes to win.
Dallas spoils Denver's first ever Super Bowl appearance, but Miller nonetheless receives Coach of the Year honors from every conceivable sports organization, including the Sporting News, Associated Press, UPI, and Pro Football Weekly. More excitement in 1978 as the Broncos go 11-5, winning their second consecutive Western Division title. This time, however, the season ends after the first playoff game with Pittsburgh. Ups and downs in 79 as Denver's record drops to 10-6. Still, Denver earns a wild card playoff berth, their third straight playoff appearance. But once again, the road to the Super Bowl ends after one game. 1980 can only be described as frustrating. For the first time, Miller receives heavy criticism for his club's performance. The city's love affair with its football team and its head coach begins to wane as the Broncos finish at 500, out of the playoff picture for the first time in 4 years. Then, 11 short days ago, the Broncos are sold to industrialist Edgar Kaiser. Kaiser refuses to give Miller the traditional vote of confidence, but Miller jokingly tells Gary Cruz it's just as well.
I'm glad he didn't do that, because you know what votes of confidence are.
Nailed the coffin, right? Shut.
Just a few hours ago, Robert Red Miller discovers why he heard no comforting words from Mr. Kaiser. A 4-year head coaching career is over as Miller departs the Broncos training center to ponder an uncertain future. Corey McFerrin, 9 News.
Most of the players I talked with tonight, like Craig Morton, Randy Gradishar, and Joe Rizzo, were stunned by dismissals. They really didn't want to discuss the change of coaches and general managers on camera, instead taking a wait-and-see attitude. One player who would comment on tape was Jim Jensen, who said he was stunned.
It was a very big surprise. You know, football's a fast acting game, and you never know who's going to be here when. And as players, we live with that fear all the time. And I think the biggest surprise of the whole thing was I didn't think anything would happen this fast. I thought some changes may occur down the road a ways, but I had no idea that something would come along this quickly. It's, you know, Red brought me here to Denver and to the Broncos, and you know, I respect him. I've played under him. He's been the super coach, and you know, I really don't know. I think everybody right now is in kind of a state of shock. It's a big switch.
Jensen is a former Dallas Cowboy who was there when Dan Reeves was an assistant coach, and he knows it's a tough business, being a professional football player and a coach.
I've really seen it happen, and I know it's going to happen, that Dan Reeves, the assistant coach, is going to be a different coach than Dan Reeves, the head coach. Now, how he's going to act as a head coach, I have no idea. Coaching under Tom Landry, I think you have to coach a certain way and be a certain way. Now, will be Dan's ball game now, and he'll do whatever he wants to do. On the job market, if you look for a young guy that's had a good track record, that has good experience, I think that would point to Dan Reeves. And if that's what he wanted, I think he got that kind of person.
We'll find out. It's going to be interesting.
It's too much to take, the sale of the team and now this in a matter of a week or so.
I just hope he doesn't buy Channel 9. You never know.